Hello, RedHawks. I'm Sophia, and these are my cats, Layla and Oreo, and you're watching R360 News.
Good morning, RedHawks, and welcome to your R360 Morning News. I'm your host, Hudson Cornelson.
And I'm Cyrus. It's Thursday, November 7th, and day 4 on the school calendar.
In our lunch report, today's lunch is from Marcia Peters Catering, and she will be serving pizza for anyone who placed an order online.
The intramural flag football finals go down today at lunch. Will it be the undefeated Mahomies taking home the title, or the Lambeau Leapers complete the underdog story? Opening kickoff at 12:35.
In other sports news, if anyone in grades 9 to 12 is interested in curling, please go and see Ms. Ledahowski at lunch today.
Attention students, high school student council is running a hot dog lunch on Tuesday, November 12th. The lunch sale will be available to pay on cash online. No cash accepted. It's available for everyone.
Hey, high schoolers, if you want to participate in the Mario Kart tournament next week, sign up outside of Miss Davidson's room and get points for your house group.
In our junior high triple ball action last night, our RedHawks faced the J.A. Cuddy Jaguars in our final home game of the season.
The boys fell to the Jaguars, while the girls went head-to-head with many nail-biting rallies and pulled off an exciting win in 5 sets.
The girls' next action is at Steinbach Christian this weekend for a volleyball tournament.
Meanwhile, your senior girls made it to 2 zone banners in 2 days for the varsity RedHawks, as they defeated the St. Paul Barons in straight sets last night.
Let's take a look at the highlights.
Way to go, Hawks!
It's Trivia Thursday. Teachers, get your chat windows ready because your prize for today is a RedHawks baseball t-shirt.
Show the shirt.
And the buddy prize for today is a class set of Marvel trading cards.
Let's head into town for the question.
Good morning, Rosenort School. My name is Sean Conway, Manager of Communications for the Pembina Valley Twisters. Your trivia question for today is, name one of the former Rosenort School students who have played for the Pembina Valley Twisters.
Quick shot, top corner, and he gets it. For 19, pass it back to 14, Weeb, takes a shot, and that's in! 16, Nico Vigier scores. The Twisters lead 2-1 at the end of the first period. Twisters are starting out strong for it. The puck has remained in the Hawks' end for the last minute. And that's another goal with 24 on the clock. I told you, Hawks fans, you have to be worried. You have to be worried. It is insanely loud in the multiplex here with 24 seconds left. Number 3, Mike Hettner scores the game-winning goal for the Pembina Valley Twisters.
And your possible answers are Todd Reimer, Anders Cornelsen, or Alex Saverin. Thanks for playing. Congratulations to the winning class and have a great day at school.
Congratulations to Miss Nix's class. Your prize will be delivered right after the news.
Please choose a K-4 buddy class in the chat below who you would like to gift the marble trading cards to.
Birthday shoutouts going to Noah Unger for tomorrow,
To Logan Laverne for Sunday,
and to JV volleyball middle hitter Kyan Quinn for Remembrance Day Monday.
Happy birthday, Noah, Logan, and Kyan.
Those are all of your announcements for today, but please stay tuned for the Remembrance Day service, which will begin with the following video.
Your student council presidents will take you through the service.
I am Lieutenant Colonel Matt Johns, and I have served in the Canadian Armed Forces for 18 years as a member of Lord Strathcona's Horse, Royal Canadians, Canada's Tank Regiment. This is my remembrance story. I joined the CAF in 2005. I was 27 years old and I was married with 2 kids, and I needed a full-time job. I never really expected to make the Canadian Army my career. I deployed to Afghanistan in 2007, almost immediately following my training as a member of the 3rd Battalion Vandu Battle Group. As a Strathcona troop leader, I commanded 4 tanks and 16 Canadian soldiers. Intellectually, I understood the responsibility that was inherent in that, but it didn't really hit me emotionally. That happened on September 24th, 2007, when during a 10-hour firefight, Corporal Nathan Hornberg was killed. The ramp ceremony, when his body was repatriated back to Canada, and the few weeks later when we had our Remembrance Day ceremony, like where we stood over these painted rocks that symbolized our fallen comrades, that forever was burned into my mind and associated with Remembrance Day. My squadron lost a second member, Trooper Mike Hayakazi, in early March 2008. These 2 young soldiers were the only Strathcona troops that were killed in Afghanistan. Both of them were members of my squadron and occurred on my rotation. Because of that, I still feel their loss, and their sacrifice has really preserved Remembrance Day as a specifically poignant and painful reminder for me. When I returned to Canada, I was amazed at how Nathan and Mike's Albertan communities had rallied to their families and to the regiment. Marking the passing of time has actually become kind of a therapeutic and important event for all current and former Strathconas, especially those of us from that deployment. Every year, we make a pilgrimage to Mike's grave, spend time with his family and our friends. And for Remembrance Day, the regiment always sends a delegation to Nanton to mark Nathan's sacrifice. 15 years later, those visits are still some of the saddest and yet happiest days for me. To me, Remembrance Day means remembering my friends, my soldiers that I lost, but also celebrating everything that they left behind to make the world a better place. It's a time to come together as a community, as a regiment, and as a family, so we can embody the idea that we all belong to something greater.
Hello, my name is Lieutenant Colonel Melissa Reyes, and I am a Communications and Electronics Engineering Officer in the Canadian Armed Forces. Each year around Remembrance Day, I hear people say, we recognize that soldiers fought for our freedom. And it always makes me wonder, what is freedom and why is that important to remember? The Canadian military has not always been a pillar of freedom. When I first joined many years ago, I didn't feel that I had the freedom to be truly me, so I made myself fit into the military culture of the time. I coped and persevered. I'm proud to still be serving today because the military is now moving within the military organizational construct towards a more personal freedom kind of freedom mind for members to be who they choose to be. For me, freedom means the freedom to choose to engage in our individual cultures and to be our authentic selves. During Veterans Week, and especially on Remembrance Day, I also remember the experiences of my mom and dad. They grew up in the Philippines. I recognize that they sacrificed and suffered through World War II as young civilians, children, and used that hard-earned freedom to choose to come to Canada in pursuit of a better life for themselves and their future family, me. Because of them, I then had the freedom to choose to join the Canadian Armed Forces, and I have had an amazing career because of it. It's important that we remember freedom because there is also sometimes sacrifice associated with it. During my deployment to Afghanistan, I saluted and cried as coffins of Canadian soldiers and a Canadian civilian were carried past me on their way back home to their families and friends. I know that others who have served around the world will have their own memories and effects on them from their service and understand the importance of recognizing the individual decisions of people during conflicts and peacetime. Maybe they serve to make a difference in the world or to help those who are suffering or those who are being oppressed. As members of the Canadian military, we understand that with service, there can also be the risk of sacrifice. I know that throughout history, Canada has not been perfect, but we as a country and as individuals must choose to strive to remember our mistakes, to learn from them, and to improve as a society and as human beings. The decisions of those before us, especially those who sacrificed everything, have helped shape Canada today, where we have the freedom to choose to remember, and I think that is the most important freedom of all. We will remember them.
Good morning, RedHawk Nation, and welcome to your Remembrance Day service.
Let's begin with our land acknowledgement. The Red River Valley School Division wishes to acknowledge that we educate our youth on Treaty 1 lands, the ancestral home of the Anishinaabe, Innu, Dakota people, and homeland of the Métis Nation. The Red River Valley School Division respects all First Nations and the treaties that were made on the territory.
Through many wars and conflicts, brave Canadians have made unimaginable sacrifices, leaving behind their families, homes, and dreams to protect the values and freedoms that make our country what it is today. Their courage and selflessness allow us, and generations yet to come, to live in peace.
More than 2.3 million Canadians have served our country in uniform. More than 120,000 of them have lost their lives. Their names are recorded in Canada's 8 Books of Remembrance on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. We honor their memory and legacy as cenotaphs and memorials and during ceremonies across Canada and around the world.
Today, we pause to remember and honor those who have sacrificed their lives to protect our future.
Remembrance Day ceremonies include music, readings, and actions that hold special meaning for veterans and for Canada's military history. In the next few minutes, you will hear the playing of O Canada, followed by 2 pieces of music called The Last Post and The Rouse. These bugle calls have been used in military camps since the 1800s.
The Last Post originally was played to signal the camp was secured for the night and to call out to wounded or separated soldiers to guide them home to rest. At remembrance ceremonies, it came to symbolize the calling home of the souls of the fallen, and today it also acts to call us into remembrance. The rouse was played at camp to wake soldiers in the morning and came to symbolize the awakening of the fallen to rise above their mortal duties and to rest in peace.
Today, the last post, a minute of silence, and the rouse take place one after the other without interruption to help us remember the fallen and reflect upon their sacrifices.
This year, the Rosenort community is celebrating their 150th anniversary. At this time, we would like to share a short film sharing information about local men who came from Rosenort and fought in the war.
In World War I, two community boys, Otto Roche and Jake Cornelson, volunteered to fight. Jacob was killed by injuries at Vimy Ridge. We will remember their service. Rosenort villagers exercised their religious war exemption in 1914. They donated thousands to meet the victory loan pledge of $1 million the Manitoba Mennonites made to win the war. The Great Depression hit hard with farm incomes plummeting and drought lasting a decade. The King and Queen made a royal visit in 1939. Shortly afterward, war was declared. In 1941, the government instituted alternative service to the draft, and over 3,000 Mennonite men in Manitoba served in forestry, firefighting, and farming away from their homes. 82 were ours. The war accelerated the decline of the German language in our area. 9 young men chose to go overseas. Louis Coisseau and Benjamin Enns, both Haldeman background, gave their lives for their country. Johnny Weens, Henry Esau, Elmer, Harry, and John Rempel, David and Arthur Enns made it safely home.
Go ahead. For those who can, please stand for the act of remembrance.
The act of remembrance is a verse from Lawrence Binyon's poem, For the Fallen. It reminds us of the importance of Remembrance Day and honors those who have given their lives in service to our country.
The act of remembrance. At the end, it is customary for all to repeat the last line by responding with, "We will remember them."
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
The commitment to remember. They were young as we were young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, amid the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
We will remember them. The reading of Flanders Field. In Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below, we are the dead short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields.
Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders Fields.
As members of the Canadian Armed Forces, we work hard every day to defend values of peace and freedom, both at home and around the world. It's a proud legacy that stretches back across Canada's history, from Confederation through to the First and Second World Wars, all the way to Korea and Afghanistan. And we carry on this important work today.
Canadian Armed Forces members are stationed all across the globe, supporting our allies and partners wherever they need. For example, approximately 2,000 Canadian Armed Forces members are in Central and Eastern Europe, working with our allies to deter Russian aggression in that region. In Latvia, Canada leads more than 4,000 troops from 10 other NATO nations, demonstrating NATO's determination to defend the borders of its member states.
We are also sharing our knowledge with other militaries to help them build their skills and capacities, including Ukrainian troops who are fighting desperately for peace and prosperity in their homeland. CAF members are also patrolling waters at home and around the world to protect people from danger. And through Operation Nanook, they're conducting annual military exercises in Canada's north, along with our allies, to ensure that the Arctic is safe and secure.
And it can be difficult work. Sometimes we're deployed away from our loved ones. Sometimes we must step in and help people going through really difficult situations. And sometimes we need to put the safety of others above our own. Some people have lost their lives while serving our country, and others have returned home with life-changing injuries, both physical and mental. But we do it because we believe it's so important to help others in times of need and protect this beautiful land that we call home.
On Remembrance Day and during Veterans Week, we take time to remember all those who have served, both past and present. We remember people like the late able seaman Fred Turnbull. He joined the Royal Canadian Navy at only 17 years old, and at only 19 years old, he took part in D-Day and the Battle of Normandy, which marked the beginning of Western Europe's liberation from Nazi control. Turnbull's job was to help bring soldiers by boat to the beaches of Normandy in France. This included dropping the ramp of the landing craft and jumping over the bow to help steady it so that the troops could storm ashore.
It was a scary and dangerous position to be in, as he was exposed to enemy fire. But Turnbull said, "You just have a job to do, and you do it." He would return to the beaches of Normandy 4 times to deliver supplies. Because of his efforts, he was awarded France's highest decoration for service, the Legion of Honor. We remember Turnbull and the thousands of Canadians who put their lives on the line during the Second World War to defend peace, freedom, democracy, and human rights for all.
We also remember the 40,000 Canadians who fought in the war in Afghanistan. People like Corporal Ainsworth Dyer. On April 17th, 2002, he was taking part in a night training when his position was accidentally bombed by an American warplane. Dyer and 3 other Canadian soldiers were killed, and another 8 were injured.
This unfortunate tragedy reminds us that members of the Canadian Armed Forces take on a risk both in combat and in training while fighting for rights and freedoms of those around the world. A memorial footbridge is named after Dyer in Edmonton, Alberta. The plaque on it summarizes the legacy he leaves behind. It says Ainsworth was a man who loved his country and died to keep us free.
During Veterans Week, we also remember those who have served more recently. People like Sergeant Vincent C. Benoit, Master Corporal Alexandre Fortin, and Master Corporal Matthew Henry, all search and rescue technicians. On December 27, 2023, a plane went down about 300 kilometers north of Yellowknife. All 3 members parachuted into cold and windy conditions to assist the 8 passengers and 2 crew members.
They brought medical supplies, food, and survival gear into the dark night. They tended to the injuries and put up shelters to protect the passengers from the harsh elements. They kept the passengers and crew safe until morning, when a helicopter was able to access the site. Because of these search and rescue technicians, they prevented loss of life and ensured all passengers and crew returned home to their loved ones.
We also think of people like Captain Jackie Ruiz, a Chinook helicopter pilot. She knew she wanted to be a pilot ever since she was a kid. Captain Ruiz's first deployment was on Operation Presence. Through this mission, the Canadian Armed Forces supported the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Mali for more than 5 years.
Captain Ruiz's role was to bring medical teams to people who were injured and then bring the injured to the hospital. She said that while she loved flying, each time she got to do it, it meant someone else was having a terrible day. But she said she took comfort in knowing that she was helping others during their most difficult moments.
Whether on land, at sea, or in the air, members of the Canadian Armed Forces have made many sacrifices so that we can live in peace and freedom. And they continue doing so today, and at an especially difficult time for our world, with climate change and new adversaries who want to challenge our way of life.
So this Veterans Week and Remembrance Day, please take a moment to think of all of those who have served and continue to serve. There are lots of ways to remember. You can say thank you to a currently serving military member or veteran. attend a Remembrance Day ceremony, or wear a poppy over your heart.
Take the time to share their stories and listen to their stories so that they're passed on to the next generation. By doing this, we keep our promise to never forget. Thank you.
We also have the following submission from the grade 5-6 class.
Day, we are wishing for a world
where replaces judgment and peace, conflict.
Today we have come together to remember those who have sacrificed their lives in the service of our nation. Their commitment to duty and the price they paid remind us of the value of peace and freedom.
As we leave here today, we do so with a renewed pledge to never forget those who have fallen in service to Canada. Let us ensure that the legacy of those who made the ultimate sacrifice lives on in our actions and words. We will remember them.